Hi, everyone. I'm Misty Billis, and welcome to another episode of Zero F's Era. Our guest today is the lovely and inspiring Dr. Kellyann Petrucci. Kellyann is a naturopathic physician and entrepreneur who has turned her small business into a nine-figure empire. She's a motivational speaker, an advocate for female-run businesses, a New York Times bestselling author of 10 books that have been translated into 9 different languages. She's also a world-renowned expert and leading voice in health and wellness. You will see her often on Good Morning America, The Talk, Good Day LA. She also is the host of her own highly rated PBS special. She is everywhere. Dr. Kellyan's most recent success has been with the bone broth breakthrough, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. And I also have to say, she's the genius behind Bella Beauty probiotics that I happen to really love. So we can talk about that as well. So with that, I will say hello, Dr. Kellyann, and welcome to Zero F's Era.
Hey. Oh, Misty, it's great to be here with you today.
Well, I know how busy you are, so thank you for taking time out of your day. And we have all sorts of things to discuss today, which I'm very excited about.
Yep, me too. Me too.
Well, as you may know, we start every Zero F's Era conversation with the truth that we don't say aloud. So I'm going to ask you, what is your truth?
I would say that my truth would have to be you have more agency over your health than you could possibly realize. We feel so victimized so much by what we go through in life. We feel beaten down a lot, and particularly when as we age. And I just want everyone to know in terms of aging, we have a lot more agency that you will learn. And I think that we are learning that through all these platforms, but we have more agency over our health than than you might think.
That's a very empowering statement to make because I agree. You're going through all of these changes as you age, and not just physical appearance, but things don't work the same. Things hurt when you
Mm-mm.
wake up the next day, all of those things. So tell me, when you say we have more agency than you think, tell me what that means.
So I think what I mean is that your cells communicate and they actually signal things for you. Every 7 years, if you want to talk down in terms of science, our bodies go through changes and it goes through a rewiring, a recircuitry. So there are things that we can do that help us, kind of a surveillance system in our body, start to learn how to remodel our bodies. Cellular turnover, all of these things. This is the signaling that your body actually wants to do. Your body actually wants you to give it the raw material that it needs to be youthful, to have that cellular turnover. You know, you have things at your hand like autophagy and fasting. Autophagy is when you just do water fasting for a few days and your body starts searching, literally searching for what we call these zombie cells, any cells that aren't performing for you anymore. And it flushes those out. It starts healing epithelial tissue and remodels everything again. So fasting is something that you have at your disposal that you can use all the time. Losing collagen is one of the things that happen as we get older. Studies show us that you can actually take in orally collagen and it starts to rebuild those levels because we start losing collagen at age 19, 20, and that is literally what holds us up. So if you want to think about wrinkles and you want to think about falling skin and all these things that we deal with, there are things that we can do to help that along the way. Weight training. I lift as heavy as I can 3 times a week. I don't always have time to be 100% on point, but I do my absolute best. That's something that signals our body differently. Getting 7 to 10,000 steps a day, walking as much as we can. If you look at the blue zones, that's why people have an extended life in those areas. It's because they're walking uphill, downhill, over steps. All of these things start signaling your body differently. And what you need to know about your agency is to not walk into every decade feeling that beaten down, but to walk into every decade with some knowing and really feel empowered every decade by knowing there are things that you can do. I promise you that is such a good hack.
So this is a fascinating conversation, and I've known you for a number of years. It's the first time we're really getting into this, and I feel like you've got the cheat code for women as we're starting to age. I should have asked you about this much earlier on. Would have been very helpful. I keep hearing about biological aging versus chronological aging, which is exactly what you're talking about, this cellular turnover every 7 years.
I mean, that's what you have to understand is that your body really is working for you. And this whole thing that's coming out with peptides are just signaling molecules. They're just things that help your body, things that happen already in your body, they help them to work even better. And they make those connections even tighter. It's much more efficacious for you. Understanding that, you can sit around and say, oh, she's too strict with her diet. Oh, why doesn't she do this? Oh, why? You have to accept that you're not doing what it takes to have exception, to be exceptional. If you want to look good at 60 plus, there are things that you have to do, and you have to know that and understand that. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to have that discipline, you're not going to have what the extraordinary have managed to have. When I flip a decade, I do this assessment and I say, what do I need to do? So one thing I knew that turning this new decade that I'm going to be turning this weekend, turning a new decade, what I said to myself a year ago is, what is the one thing that I don't want going into this decade? I don't want excess fat because that's bad for metabolism. That's why. So I don't want to be under muscled because most of the time when people feel like they're heavy, they're not actually heavy. They're actually under muscled. So a year ago, I started a 1-year protocol to reduce inflammation, to work on my lymphatics, circulation, and I call it dropping fat responsibly. How do you do that? You don't just worry about the scale. The scale is the most toxic thing ever. You worry about, how do I go forward and build the best thing I could ever do for my metabolism, which is to lift weights heavy as you can. And so, I set forth, I didn't quite meet my goal. So my goal time is up. So this weekend, and that's okay. So I'm extending it 6 months. And during that next 6 months, I put other protocols in place. And so this is just what I do naturally. And it sounds so hard and laborious, and you have to be Herculean to do this. No, I want to be young, spirited, youthful, energetic, vivacious, more than I want the other stuff. And that's what you really have to assert. I want to be in business, and I'm in the business of longevity, health, wellness, and I love what I do. And I can't do that if I'm tired, if I don't look the part. I have to model that position. And so these are all the things that I think about. So I want that vivaciousness. And the only way I'm going to do that is by understanding how my cells communicate and give it the raw materials that it needs to up level, constantly upgrade, constantly up level, and give my body what it needs to flourish.
There's a couple of things that really popped for me in what you just said. One is that I'm kind of proud to know that's what's going on in my body, because I need to change my thinking around what is happening, because I sometimes feel like we're at odds. What I want to do and what my body is asking for is often at odds. And the other thing that you just mentioned is the personal responsibility. If this is what you want, it takes effort. You don't get to wake up one day and look great and feel great when you're 70 if you've not taken these steps to get you there.
And you said something that's very key, something that the people who succeed in this game do. They're thinking 10 years ahead. Like, even if I'm buying a house, do I want to live in that house at 70? I think about all of these things because to be, you have to feel. So if you want to feel like you're walking into a room and you've got that Carolyn Bessette energy and you're like carefree and you want to walk into the room like that, you have to be it. So if you're sitting around and you're doing things that are not advantageous to that, you're not going to get there. And that's okay. When I mean this, I have worked with women for 30 years. I've heard stories. They've sat across from me. They've told me what they eat, what they think, what they do, their relationships. And you learn as you evolve yourself that there really is no judgment. It's just a matter of, I'm in the solutions business, Misty. That's what I do. So I'm here to provide you with solutions. And I might not always be the most popular voice to tell you what actually you need to do to meet that vision. My job is to come up with things that are out in the marketplace before anyone else sees them. I have to look into the blue ocean and create something. And that something is always going to be a solution, because even though it seems like, because I'm in this business that's just trending so much, understand that the first half of my career, all I did was convince people. I don't look at myself as a trend hopper. I look at myself as a solutions finder. And so if you ask me, what do you do for a living? Everyone cracks up. I say I'm in the solutions business. It's what I do. My truth is, if somebody says, Dr. Kellyann, this is what I want to do. How do I do it? And I turn to them and I say, well, let's talk about a couple of things. One of the things that's so important is that you are adhere and that you are aware of ancestral gold. So what's ancestral gold? Ancestral gold is foods that are back in time that have done so much for the human body that we have forgotten because we're into commercialization and processing. So what do we need to care about? We need to care about our joints, tendons, ligaments, all that stuff, the stuff that forms us deep within. We have to worry about our microbiome, all of these things, but they're all interconnected. So I would say to somebody, ancestral gold, what is it? It's collagen, it's gelatin, it's bone marrow, it's bone broth. It's all of these things that pay attention to the deep rootedness of who we are. A lot of the foods, they're macros, great. We need them to function, but you don't want to just function, right? You want to really thrive, really thrive. You want 1 + 1 to equal 10. I'm not looking just to calibrate. I want to optimize as much as I can. What it means is to understand what your body really needs, and the signaling systems and the cells and the cellular membranes and how they need to flow in your body. And this ancestral gold, collagen, which you can get in bone broth, gelatin, which you can get in bone broth, bone marrow, which I absolutely love. It's like a treat. You can easily roast bone marrow in your own kitchen. It takes no time at all. It literally tastes like custard. And it's very, very good for the collagen in your skin. All of these things provide the chemical makeup that literally lifts us and holds us together. So I'd say ancestral gold. I'd say old-fashioned fats. I'd ask someone, are you eating the old-fashioned fats? It's ghee, grass-fed butter. It is that beautiful olive oil we all know about. It's beef tallow, things like that that have a high smoking point. So all of these fats, not only are they good for your cellular membrane, they're just really good at creating that skin that has all that elasticity. Then that's the fermented foods. The fermented foods are gold. And I'm mentioning all of this because I think these things are game changers. It's, sauerkraut. You can buy fermented sauerkraut that doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't have the smell. It doesn't have the bad taste. It's fermented properly. Things like sauerkraut, kimchi, full-fat yogurt, kefir, all of these things, they create a very strong gut microbiome. And so they're important. So if you're thinking about what can I give my cells when you talk about the discipline and so forth, I would say think about it in those 3 categories. What kind of fats are you eating? Are you eating the ancestral foods that feed us from deep within for joints, tendons, skin, ligaments, all the things that start falling apart, which makes us fall apart? And are you feeding your gut with these fermented foods? So think about it in blocks. And the overhanging fruit of all of this is your metabolism has to be running and running strong. And protein is such a driver. It's such a driver for a strong metabolism.
So what I'm hearing is that if you want to look beautiful on the outside, you've got to treat your insides better. You have got to eat better. You have to do all the things that your cells need to be able to function properly. And then you're going to see it outwardly in the aesthetic.
Yeah, you have to think about your body like I studied in Europe, and we used to call it the internal milieu. So most of what I learned is like really learned and used through the Paracelsus Clinic in Switzerland. And they had a foundation, the Marion Foundation, that was in Newport, Rhode Island. And the doctor that ran the Paracelsus Clinic, he came to Rhode Island for 2 years only, to teach this European biology. It's European biological medicine. And it was very, very advanced. People in the States didn't know any of this. And that's where I learned so much. And he was talking about gut health and anti-inflammatory foods and all of this long before we talked about it in the United States. And one of the things that he pressed over and over again is this idea of the internal milieu, or your body's internal terrain. and how all the fluids that surrounding the cells, that it's like your body's almost like a fishbowl, a live ecosystem that we really have to be aware of and take care of. And I think one of the reasons why, I don't have the wrinkles, or I don't have the ultra aging skin, or all of that, is because I learned that. I learned that a very well. Let's see, before I had my boys, and so it was over 22 years ago that I learned all this, way before people caught on in the United States. I learned about, this is not going to serve me on the inside. And a lot of the sugars and things that we love and that we crave, they create something called advanced glycolic end products. They call them AGEs. And so this glycolic end product, things like that are like charred glass in our body. And they age us rapidly. So you just have to be strategic. And I could tell you, don't worry about it, just eat, and body positivity. I could tell you all of that, but it's not real. It's not real. It's marketing. It's not real. What's real is understanding what your body really needs for your joints, tendons, ligaments. All of that helps with the diameter of your hair. It helps with the surface of your skin. It helps with the growth of your nails, helps with your teeth, how managed your teeth are. All of these things make a difference in your longevity.
This is really fascinating. I'm also really appalled by what's sitting in my pantry right now. So the first thing I'm doing after this interview, which is a big purge, but a question for you, because you are talking about the fact that you have to do the work. You have to take personal responsibility here. But I do think there is now sort of this idea of the quick fix, and that's the GLP-1s. How does that fit into this? Is it a help? Is it a hindrance?
So you're going to be surprised at my answer.
Yeah. Are you pro or con?
Okay, I'm pro. And here's why. But there's a caveat to my pro. There's a caveat. So GLP-1s can be very beneficial against all-cause mortality. So if you've got an obese patient, and that obese patient now is having all kind of other digestive issues, diabetic issues, it goes on and on and on. If they have these other secondary issues, the cost is worth the benefit. It is. So what I tell people about GLP-1s is, unless you have this framework of this all-cause mortality issue, and that you have this obesity issue, diabetes, things where you need a metabolic reset, an intense metabolic reset, because it does shorten your life having these issues, I say yes. The other way I say yes, the one thing that I have seen that has been beneficial for people is low dose for inflammation, to get rid of the inflammation. I believe, from what I'm seeing and observing, and I remember everybody was going nuts, and I just sat back and I said, let's watch. Let's watch. And if people keep the dose very low, and so they give themselves a low dose that's, again, efficacious, and they do it, say, once every 2 weeks. A lot of the biohackers do this. If they do that for inflammation, I have seen inflammation go down in both labs. So I've seen the empirical data, and I've seen it aesthetically. So I've seen it both. And I've seen people that have had all kind of issues with their metabolism and so forth. The name of the game, though, I really believe so much of it has to do with the dosing, because the minute you start losing muscle with this stuff, any benefit goes out the window. And that's why you're seeing people with very strange looking faces, because they're not doing it properly. They're not. So you have to be so fastidious about how much protein that you're taking in. You have to take things like, amino acids, and there's so much. There's a whole stack that I would tell a patient. Urolithin A is very important. Like, there's a stack that people should take while they're taking this medication that is helpful along the way. But again, it's all in, where is the sourcing? Where, is the lab? I think it's 503 A and B, or one. There's 2 lab specifications that have to be nailed down. Who's the provider? Are you dosing it properly? And are you doing the GLP-1 stack alongside of it? But bone broth, one of the reasons why it's made a huge, like, bone broth is just boom right now. Like, it's just like it did when it started, because people with GLP-1s are finding 2 major benefits. Number one, the protein in there. They need extra protein, and it's very, very easy to get a shot of 15, 16 grams of protein like that. And second, when you start feeling that like inflated, like that look that's not appealing, one of the things that's great about bone broth fasting or intermittent fasting with bone broth is that you don't get that look. You have a very, very healthy weight management protocol. You don't have that Skeletor kind of look that's not attractive, because losing your facial pads is not attractive.
No, you end up looking skeletal, as we've seen
Yeah.
in pictures. And so, like most things, it's a tool and it's part of a program. It is not the replacement for all the other things that you have to do.
No, you have to do it responsibly. That's it. You have to learn why you lose. If you just like shotgunning it and you want to lose, you want to get ripped, you want to, that's where it goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah. So demystify bone broth for me. One, how do you use it strategically and keep it as an ongoing part of your regimen? And what do you do for us vegetarians who are a bit squeamish about the idea of bone broth?
So the best thing to do for, let me just hit the vegetarian piece. You can't get the collagen without getting the meat piece. It's different. So what I tell people is fuel your body with electrolytes. So I always tell them, look online for potassium broth. Potassium broth is great. It's a broth that you sip on that mineralizes your body. It is not the same thing, but it is very helpful, very healing. And there are some things that are happening in the category, just so you know, to answer the problem that vegetarian and vegan people have, that they want the benefits, but it's just either spiritually or they don't like it or they just don't want it. There are things that are happening in the category that is going to provide solutions for you. It's a very exciting technology, food technology that's actually happening that will help vegan and vegetarian people get the collagen. But for now, it's very, very different. No matter what I offer you, it's going to be different than bone broth, because it's that collagen, that cooked collagen, that gelatin. That is, that's the Mac Daddy. That's what you're getting.
I'll file that under watch this space. There's hope for me.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, there is.
but for everyone else who doesn't have a quandary about that, how should they be incorporating bone broth into their diet?
Well, first of all, I say the basic prescription is 2 cups a day. You want to have 2 cups a day. It's got the protein. It's got a bunch of amino acids in there. It's got these electrolytes. It's got hyaluronic acid for the skin. It's got chondroitin in there for joints. It's so multifaceted. It's got so much nutritional value without the calories, and you're getting all of that nutrition. So basically, it's just fueling your body with good stuff. I have powdered bone broth. I've made it very easy. This is extremely healthy. I worked very hard at creating a dried bone broth that matched you sitting in front of your stock pot for 17 hours, 12 to 17 hours. So all you do is you mix the hot water, and all it is bone broth with some garden fresh vegetables and some sea salt. That's it. And it's very easy to make. And so a lot of times at night, what I'll do is I'll put hot water over the stove, and I'll put in 2 packets of bone broth, and whatever I have hanging around, I'll throw chicken in there, whatever it is, rice. Sometimes I use squash. Throw whatever you want in there. It's a one-pot meal. It's absolutely delicious. You can make dressings and sauces and add them to whatever you're making, burgers, no matter what. And it just adds 16 grams of protein and all of the collagen and benefits. Why not? I always like to 10x everything. Everything I create in the food space, where I think that you can get multiple benefits from, and your body recognizes it and absorbs it properly and metabolizes it, I'm going to do it because I'm busy. Like most people, I work full time. My kids are now older, but there's still work. It's a fast-paced, tough life. But again, I have to prioritize the mechanics of me. I have to prioritize that. Things like sleep and making sure that I lock myself down. Like, no, 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 I need to sleep. And that was something you talk about this error, and this whole podcast is around this particular error or time in someone's life. That's something I never would have done before. I would have always gone for it. If I could meet one person, if I could get one customer, if I could build my business better in any way, yes, 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 yes. Now, Well, is it gonna interfere with my, my sleep metrics? It's a no. And a lot with traveling, a lot with overseas traveling and things like whatever. I just make sure that I take care of myself. I'll have a better seat on the flight. I'll bring what I need on the flight, to try to lock that in the best. And it's important.
Absolutely. I mean, you make an excellent point that you reach an age where you realize prioritizing yourself allows you to be there for everyone else, and your health has to come first. And I think as women, we are so busy putting everyone else forward for so many
Everyone.
years that you forget that until you reach a point where you have the ability to reclaim that for yourself.
So much so. I cannot tell you how important, and somebody, I think it was your producer that had asked a certain question, and it got me thinking. It was something about like, what am I going to let go of? What are you willing to let go of?
That's
Yeah,
your permission slip. That's how we kind of end the conversation. But yeah, I want to hear what's something you can let go of that no longer serves you.
this is the big one for me. This has been the biggest lesson that I've learned, even with the people in my life. You would not believe how the orbit around you changes when you do this. I stopped self abandoning to make things work or to make people work, and when I mean people work in my life, I stopped self abandoning. Me not having the boundaries that I needed and me saying, oh, yes, and trying so hard to do the right thing, be a good person, be sweet, be kind. You have to understand how I was raised. I say this with utmost, thankfulness in my heart. I was raised in a very, very secure, balanced, healthy household. I had two parents who were like the Notebook. They loved each other more than anything, never had issues with my siblings. I was very, very lucky. I came from purity of soul. I didn't have this in my life, all this and craziness, and I didn't have any of that. So I think I was such a gift to the world without realizing it because I offered something that most people, I was unbroken. And I walked out into the world very unbroken. And I didn't realize what a gift that was. And because I was unbroken, I was willing to tolerate so much, I'll say the word, a lot of abuse in a lot of ways from work, from everything. And I was able to tolerate that at a level that most people might not have because their cup was almost full already. My cup wasn't full. So I had so much that I could withstand that I just took it and took it and took it. And what I realized is that, yeah, it made me a good person, but what about being a great person? What about being an outstanding person? And that outstanding person is someone who does not self abandon. It's somebody that has boundaries and that they are very authoritative and they take care of themselves. That's an outstanding person. So, this whole idea is what's being put to death is this whole idea of being like, my mom's just always so sweet. Oh, she's so sweet. And guess what? My mom was not in big business either. She was not in a shark tank, literally with sharks swimming everywhere. She wasn't in that world. And so I had to literally collapse myself and reinvent myself. And I did that in the past year. I'm letting go of self abandoning to make things or people in my life work.
Was there a certain turning point that got you to this space? And the reason I ask is we always talk about, are you in your zero F's era? Which I think you are. But I feel like whatever has happened, this turning point has kind of led you into this zero F's era.
Yeah, it was business building and things not working out the way I wanted them to work out or that I thought they were going to work out. This happens in business all the time. And I'm very lucky that I'm ruthless in my effort of handling pressure, but it was realizing all the what ifs I had. I should have been more this. I should have been more that. And this wouldn't have happened if I had done this. Why wasn't I more of a driver? Why wasn't I more of this? And all of those things, they all circle back to the same thing. That is who I am. That is what I wanted to do. But I didn't to keep peace, or I didn't to not rock the boat, or I didn't because you want to be well liked. When I tell you that being well liked is so low on my list now, being well liked is not even in my consciousness anymore. What's in my consciousness is doing the right thing and also doing the right thing for me. And that's a major, when I tell you, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Misty, you could call me a doormat. It wouldn't be that far off. It wouldn't have been that far off. But I think business is a personal development program. Building a big business is your own personal development. And, I now that I'm reformulating some things and rethinking some things, it gave me time to sit back and say, "Okay, learn. Who do you need to be so that never happens again? Or who do you need to be for this to happen to see your vision through?" And I wasn't that person yet. I wasn't in that energetic frequency. The frequency of me was like my mom, which is a beautiful thing. It's precious and it's docile and it's accommodating and it's lovely. It's all of that. But you can't throw yourself into the shark tank like that. You can't.
Just so you know, I would never call you a doormat. I have only ever seen you as this inspiring, strong woman. So it's interesting to hear that you go through those things because I wouldn't
Yes.
imagine that. It's inspiring to see you come the other side of that and where you are now.
Thank
And I'll
you.
ask you this. I think you've probably just given a great roadmap for it. Any advice for people who are not in their zero F's era yet, who are still on that journey?
I'd say the most important gift that I see people have that make it, so to speak, or that they tolerate what's happening around them is that they like themselves. So my advice to anyone is learn to like yourself. And I know that sounds crazy, Misty, but the one thing that I see in the generations, having kids in their 20s and just talking to people in their 30s and so forth, they have learned to like themselves so much more than I saw from Gen X or from baby boomers. I do see that evolution of people taking care of themselves more. They're thinking differently and they're liking themselves more. But the best way to pursue what you want to pursue, and there's so many different strategies and books I can refer you to and things I learned along the way, but the whole deep-seated need first is to know your value. I don't care if it's a relationship, I don't care if it's your investor, I don't care who it is. You will get stomped on until you learn your value, and you will never learn your value until you like yourself first.
I could not agree more on that. And that goes back to your self abandonment. You have got to put yourself first and you've got to like who you are before you can give to anyone else. Really excellent advice. Kellyann, I have loved every moment of this conversation. I'm going to
Too.
have to invite you back for a part two because I need to be mindful
Absolutely.
of your time. And we didn't get into discussing you as an entrepreneur and your path there and how you support other women because I know that you are just such a powerful force there as well. So I'm gonna just say right now, there's definitely a part two to this coming
I would
if we
love
can
it.
point it in your calendar.
You got it, Misty. For you, absolutely.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for today. I'm so appreciative of your time. I have learned so much. I have to leave so I can go clean out my pantry and break a
Sorry,
whole.
I have that effect, but can I just tell you that there's something called the DKA effect? I swear
Okay.
it's for real. Everyone around me starts looking better. I swear to God. I swear, everyone that is in my microcosm or that's in my orbit, everybody starts looking better. I swear on my life.
I don't doubt it for a second. This is why everyone loves you, and by the
I
way,
think they're afraid of
everyone
me.
gets better in
I
your
don't.
orbit for many reasons. So I love it. Well, I'm gonna take the DKA effect and hold on to it.
Okay,
So
Misty. Well, it was
th-
great speaking with you today. I just love talking to you, and thanks for all you do. You're incredible, and you're one of the kindest people that are on this planet. So thank you for everything that you do all the time. And I think you're a rock star in your space too. I mean, I've had the best trips of my life because of you. Literally. I mean, like you nail it. Like you learn someone, and that's it. Never do you ever disappoint. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Mwah. That is a
Mwah.
mutual love affair there.
Mutual love affair.
Well, thank you again so much,
Thanks,
and
Misty.
thank you to everyone who has listened in today. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Zero F's Era, or you can also email us at zerofsera@gmail.com. And remember to be all out of F's for the things that don't matter so you can focus on the things that do. Until next week, thanks everyone.